Welcome to my dear students. So today's deliberation is about Become Final Year 6th Semester Financial Management paper. Under this 6th semester financial management paper, you are having so many units. Out of these units, Unit 2, Capital Budgeting, Long-Term Investment Decisions is a very important chapter. So before going to start this particular topic, hope you all are well and safe in this pandemic COVID-19 situation. Hope you all and your family, relatives, friends all are well and safe. So now we are going to start about capital budgeting. What is actually capital budgeting? Capital budgeting is the process of making investment decisions in capital expenditures. It involves the planning and control of capital expenditures. It is the process of deciding whether or not to commit resources to particular long-term projects whose benefits are to be realized over a period of time. So it means what? Whenever you are going to invest in a capital expenditures, what the decisions you are taking before investing into it, these decisions are known as capital budgeting decisions. It is the process of making investment decisions in capital expenditures. So some capital expenditures like cost of acquisition of permanent assets as such as land and building, plant and machinery, goodwill, etc. Cost of addition, expansion, improvement or alteration in the fixed assets, research and development of project costs. So these are so many examples of capital expenditure decisions. And investing in these capital expenditures, whatever decisions we are taking, these are called capital budgeting decisions. Normally, these are long-term investment decisions. So now coming to the part of definition of capital budgeting. According to Charles T. Horgreen, capital budgeting is the long-term planning for making and financing proposed capital outlay. Similarly, one more definition is given by G.C. Philippatus. Capital budgeting is concerned with the allocation of firms' scarce financial resources among the available market opportunities. The consideration of investment opportunities involves the comparison of expected future streams of earnings from a project with the immediate and subsequent streams of earning from a project with the immediate and subsequent streams of expenditure for it. So these are all about so many important definitions of capital budgeting. Now coming to the next segment, that is features of capital budgeting. Under these particular features, one is exchange of funds for future benefits. Number two, future benefits are expected to be realized over a period of time. Third, the funds are invested vested in long-term activities. Fourth, they have a long-term and significant effect on the profitability of the concern. Next, capital budgeting decisions involve huge amount of funds. These are all about features of capital budgeting. Now coming to the next category, that is importance of capital budgeting. Number one, large investment. Capital budgeting involves large amount of investment. Number two, long-term commitment of funds. It committed long-term huge amount of funds. Next, irreversible in nature. Capital budgeting is always irreversible in nature. Next, long-term effect on profitability. Capital budgeting decisions always affect on profitability. Next, difficulties of investment decisions. It also provides some difficulties while taking investment decisions. Finally, it also gives some importances to our nation. It also helps our nation for its determining employment opportunities, economic activities, and growth. So these are all about the basic theoretical aspect. Importances, need and importance are the same thing in capital budgeting decisions and features of capital budgeting. Now coming to the next category, that is capital budgeting process. Under this capital budgeting process, the first and foremost category is identification of investment proposals. You have to identify your investment proposals. Secondly, you have to screening the proposals. Means whatever proposals you have already identified before, you have to screen these proposals. Thirdly, evaluate the various proposals. You have to evaluate various proposals. And fourthly, fixing priorities from which to which means from highest to lowest or from lowest to highest. You have to provide some priorities on the basis of the proposals. Fifth, final approval and preparation of capital expenditure projects. You have to finally approve and prepare the capital expenditure budget so as to expend in the nearest future of time. Sixth, implementing proposals. You have to implement the proposals which you have already made formally, and you have to make investment decisions on these particular proposals. And finally, you have to make performance review. What you have already done, you have to analyze, you have to explain these particular proposals in a simplified way. Now coming to the next category, which is very, very important, the most important problematic area of capital budgeting decisions. This is evaluation techniques of projects or basis of capital flow, cash flows for project appraisals. Means what are the various decisions that we are taking or methods of capital budgeting or evaluation of investment proposals. Under these categories, basically there are two methods. One is traditional methods, one is time adjusted method or discounted methods. Under traditional methods, under this, there are two subheadings under traditional method. One is payback period method, one is rate of return method or accounting rate of return method. And under time adjusted method or discounted method, it also consists of four methods. One is discounted payback period method, one is net present value method, third one is profitability index method, and finally the last category is internal rate of return method. So these are the various methods you have to explain while attending a long questions. The questions may come in your examination in sixth semester, which is going to be held on seventh, which is going to be held on for the commerce students. It will be started from 9th July of 2020. Okay, as per the notification given by BD College website, clearly mentioned that your sixth semester examinations, auditing and corporate governance, your first paper will be start on 9th July 2020 onwards. So out of this particular chapter, capital budgeting decisions, the most expected questions may come in an examination that define capital budgeting, explain the need and importances of capital budgeting, and elaborate or explain the various capital budgeting decisions under various methods or how evaluation of investment proposals are made. And in this particular question, you have to elaborate all these methods, traditional methods as well as time adjusted methods. The first one is payback period method. Under payback period method, it's sometimes called payout or payoff method. It represents the period in which the total investment in permanent assets pays back itself. It represents the period in which the total investments in permanent assets pays back itself. This is based on principle that every capital expenditure pays itself back within a certain period out of the additional earnings generated from the capital assets. So it measures the period of time for the original cost of a project to be covered from the additional earnings of the project itself. So for calculating payback period, when the annual cash inflows are not equal means unequal, the formula applied for calculating payback period, shortly known as PBP, equals to initial investment or cash outlay of the project or original cost of the asset divided by annual cash inflows. And when the annual cash inflows are equal, divide the initial outlay cost of the project by annual cash flows, where the project generates constant annual cash inflows. So there are basically some advantages and disadvantages of this method also. This method is very simple to understand and easy to calculate. It saves in cost and this method is particularly suited to the firm which has shortage of cash or those liquidity position is not particularly good. So these are the advantages of PBP. There are some disadvantages also, like it doesn't take into account the cash inflows or after the payback period, and hence the true profitability of the project cannot be correctly assessed. It ignores the time value of money. It doesn't take into consideration the cost of capital, which is very, very important. And it treats each asset individually in isolation with the other asset, which is not feasible in real practice. It doesn't measure the true profitability of the project as a period considered under this method is limited to a short period only and not the full life of the project. Now, the next method is accounting rate of return method or rate of return method. This method takes into account the earnings expected from the investment over their whole life. It is known as accounting rate if return method for the reasons that under this method the accounting concept of profit is used rather than cash inflows. As per this method, various projects are ranked in order to or of rate of earnings or rate of return. The project with the higher rate of return is selected as compared to the one with the lowest rate of return. So this method can be used to make decisions as to accepting or rejecting a proposal. The expected return is determined and the project with a higher rate of return than the minimum rate specified by the firm called cut-off rate is accepted, and the one which gives the lower expected rate of return that the minimum rate is rejected. So as per this particular method, accounting or average rate of return is calculated applying the following formula that ARR equals to total profit after depreciation and taxes whole divided by net investment in project into number of years of profits whole into 100, or average annual profits divided by net investment in the project into 100. So this is all about the theoretical aspect of accounting or average rate of return. Similarly, return per unit of investment method. Under this method, ARR is calculated total profit after depreciation and taxes divided by net investment in the project into 100. Similarly, rate of return on average investment method. Under this method, rate of return is calculated by applying the following formula that total profit after depreciation and taxes divided by total net investment by 2 into 100, or we can say that total profit after depreciation and taxes divided by average investment into 100. So there are so many advantages and disadvantages of this method also. Advantages are this method is easy to understand and simple to calculate. This is also based on accounting concept of profits. It uses the entire earnings of the projects in calculating rate of return. And the disadvantages are it doesn't take into consideration of cash inflows or outflows, which are more important than the accounting profits. Sorry, only cash inflows. It ignores the time value of money as the profit earned at different points of time are given equal weights. So this is all about what accounting or average rate of return method. Now coming to the next category, the most important category, that is time adjusted or discounted cash flow methods. Under this category, there are four different methods. One is discounted payback period method. One is net present value method. One is profitability index method, and final category is internal rate of return method. So first one is discounted payback period method. Already we have discussed about payback period method. Payback means we have already invested and the project will give us in return. How many years it will take to give the return? This is called payback period. But under discounted payback period methods, we have to use the discounting factor, means present value factors. Let us consider an example that 10% for calculating discounting factor of 10%. The formula is R equals to 10% means I equals to 10%, which is equals to 0.1. So if R equals to 10%, discount factor of this particular 10% is equals to 1 by 1 plus I to the power of n, which is 1 by 1.1. For the first year, it will be 1 by 1.1, which is 0.909. Second one is 1 by 1.1 by 1.1 square, which is equals to 0.826. Third year, 1 by 1.1 to the power of 3, which is 0.751. Fourth year, 1 by 1.1 to the power of 4, which is 683. Similarly, in the fourth year, it will be 1 by 1.1 to the power of 5, which is 0.621, like this. So these are all about discounting factors. You have to multiply it straight the annual cash inflows with the present value factors individually with the years. You find the discounted cash flows, and to compare the discounted cash flows, you have to put the method of interpolation to find the payback period. Already I have explained, I have elaborated, I have already solved many problems of discounted payback period method and also capital budgeting decisions. The second method is net present value method. This method is the modern method of evaluating the investment proposals. This method takes into account the time value of money and attempts to calculate the return of investments by introducing the factor of time element. It recognizes the fact that a rupee earned today is more valuable earned tomorrow. The net present value of all inflows and outflows of cash occurring during the entire life of the project is determined separately by each year by discounting these flows by the firm's cost of capitals. The most important steps you have to follow for calculating NPV is determine appropriate rate of interest that should be selected as a minimum required rate of return and discounting rate. Compute the present value of total investment outlay. Compute the present value of total investment proceeds. Calculate the net present value of each project by subtracting the present value of cash inflows from present value of cash outflows for each project. If the net present value is positive or zero, the proposal may be accepted, otherwise rejected. If the net present value is positive, then we should go for investment. If the net present value is negative, we should not go for investment. Now coming to the next category, that is advantages and disadvantages of net present value. There are so many advantages like it recognizes the time value of money and is suitable to applied in situations with uniform cash outflows and cash inflows at different period of time. It takes into account the earnings over the entire life of the projects and the true profitability of the investment proposals can be evaluated. It takes into consideration on the objective maximum profitability. And the disadvantages are this method is more difficult to understand and operate. It is not easy to determine an appropriate discount rate. It may not give good results while comparing projects with unequal lives and investment of funds. Next one is your profitability index method. Under profitability index method, this is also known as benefit cost ratio. This is similar to net present value method. The major drawback of net present value method is that it doesn't give satisfactory results while evaluating the projects during different initial investments. Profitability index method provides solution to this that profitability index is calculated as present value of cash inflows divided by present value of cash outflows. If your profitability index is greater than 1, then project will be accepted. If it is less than 1, the project will be rejected. If profitability index is equals to 1, then decision is based on non-financial consideration. So we should follow that your profitability index should always be more than 1. And some advantages of this particular method is it considers the time value of money, it considers all cash flow during the lifetime of the project, more reliable than NPV method when evaluating the projects requiring different initial investments. And the disadvantages are this method is difficult to understand and calculations under this methods are complex. And the next one is the last category of this particular time adjusted technique is internal rate of return method. It is a modern technique of capital budgeting that takes into account the time value of money. It is also known as time adjusted rate of return, discounted cash flows, yield method, or trial and error yield method. Under this method, the cash flows of the project are discounted at a suitable rate by hit and trial method, which equates the net present value, so calculated to the amount of investment. Under this method, since the discount rate is determined internally, this method is called as the internal rate of return method. It can be defined as the rate of discount at which the present value of cash inflows is equal to the present value of cash outflows. So many steps are to be undertaken for calculating internal rate of return. Determine the future net cash flows during the entire economic life of the project. The cash inflows are estimated for future profits before depreciation and after taxes. Determine the rate of discount at which the value of cash inflows is equal to the present value of cash outflows. Accept the proposal if the internal rate of return is higher than or equal to the minimum required rate of return. And in case of alternative proposals, select the proposals with the highest rate of return as long as the rates are higher than the cost of capital. So these are all about the various steps we are undertaking for calculating our internal rate of return. Determination of IRR. When the annual net cash flows are equal over the life of the assets, present value factor equals to initial outlay divided by annual cash flows. Similarly, when the annual net cash flows are unequal over the life of the assets, we have to follow the following steps. Number one, prepare the cash flow table using an arbitrary assumed discount rate to the discount of the net cash flows to the present value. Number two, find out the net present value by deducting from the present value of total cash inflows calculated in above the initial cost of investment. Third, if the NPV is positive, apply higher rate of discount. Fourth, if the higher discount rate still gives a positive NPV, increase the discount rate. Further, the NPV becomes negative. If the NPV is negative at this higher rate, the internal rate of return must be between these two rates. Similarly, some advantages and disadvantages of this method also. Advantages of this method is it takes into account the time value of money and can be used applied in situations with even as well as uneven cash flows at a different period of time. It consists the profitability of the project for entire economic life. It provides uniform ranking of various proposals due to the percentage of return, and the disadvantages are it is difficult to understand. This method is based upon the assumption that earnings are reinvested at internal rate of return for the remaining life of the project, which is not a justified assumption, particularly when the rate of return earned by the firm is not close to the internal rate of return. The result of NPV and IRR method may differ when the project under evaluation differ their size. These are all about various methods of evaluating your capital budgeting decisions. So this is all about the theoretical aspect, most important expected aspect or areas from which examination questions must come. Okay, so this is all about capital budgeting, your unit 2 segment, and advantages, disadvantages of capital budgeting, determination of capital budgeting decisions or determination of capital expenditure decisions is also an important question. You have to follow this, and hope you all should enjoy this particular online class video of financial management in the chapter capital budgeting or long-term investment decisions. And in this pandemic COVID-19 situation, hope you all are well and safe. Always use mask, always use your hand sanitizer and hand wash, and without having any emergency should not go to outside. Okay, and many all the best and best of luck for your upcoming exams. So happy reading and best pieces to all of you. Okay, all the best. Thank you.